Strategist Evan Siegfried, also joined by Democratic strategist Steve McMahon. Thanks to both of you for being with me here on a Tuesday morning. So let's start, Steve, with you. President Obama saying he's going to stay silent for a while, but may have more to say in a year or so. Do you think he'll be able to stay quiet for that long, especially if he is going to be as close to the White House geographically as he said he may be in terms of keeping that office there at Foggy Bottom?
Well, I mean, I think it'll be difficult given some of the things that Donald Trump does every single day. But I also believe that President Obama was deeply grateful to George W. Bush when he left the White House for former President Bush's willingness to basically stay quiet, let the Obama administration settle into place, pursue the policies that they wanted to pursue because they had won an election. And I think President Obama really appreciated that, and I think he feels like he owes that the president-elect. And frankly, you know, as a Democrat, even though I think Donald Trump is a dangerous president-elect for this country, I think it's the right thing. I mean, he's trying to support the president in ways that he can and hope the president-elect can be successful. President
Obama said that he could have beaten
President-elect Trump.
I was saying, right. Evan, President Obama said that he could beat President-elect Trump if he were allowed to had been allowed to run for a third term. I would imagine you would disagree with that assessment. But here's the thing. The president-elect fires back on Twitter saying, no way, frequently doing what he does, responding via Twitter. He should stay out. He should say that, but I say no way. Jobs leaving, ISIS, Obamacare, etc. Why not just let that go?
Well, I think Donald Trump has never let anything go. So I think it's actually a good philosophical debate. I actually believe that President Obama would have beaten him. He wouldn't have been weighed down by scandals like Hillary Clinton was. He was much better on the stump than Hillary Clinton was. He had that I feel your pain, and he could put forward a message, whereas Hillary Clinton's message seemed to be, it's my turn. But let's not rehash that. I think that Donald Trump versus Barack Obama would have been the ultimate fight in terms of these two sides on the left and the right, this populist movement on both, where we could have had a lot of fun talking about it and seeing craziness.
Interesting to hear you say, though, that you think President Obama would have beaten him as well. Steve, the president-elect also been very critical of the United Nations, says things will be different after January 20th. How so?
Well, that's a good question. I wonder if he explained to Nikki Haley that her job is to go to the UN, to be the ambassador, to just talk and have a good time. I mean, she's the governor of South Carolina and gave that up presumably for a reason. I mean, I think the United Nations certainly has had its problems over the years, but it also has had its successes. I mean, it was the United Nations, for instance, Security Council, that authorized the United States to remove Iraq from Kuwait in 1990. It was actually the United Nations Security Council that sanctioned the partitioning of Palestine that created Israel a long time ago. So, you know, the UN Security Council has done some things that the United States very much likes. I understand that maybe not everything the UN Security Council does the United States likes, but Donald Trump would be well advised to get his briefings, understand the environment into which he's stepping, and know that the United Nations is an organization that Russia would like to have go away as well. So if he doesn't want to play into the Russians' hands, he needs to be really careful with his tweets.
You were nodding your head, Evan.
I actually disagree with Steve on this. I used to work at the United Nations. The only thing good about it right now is its cafeteria. You know, President Obama might have, his lasting legacy might actually be that he's gotten Republicans to seriously consider defunding it. We give 22% of the United Nations funding annually, and now you have Ted Cruz, Lindsey Graham,
allies. You would acknowledge that there's value in having an intergovernmental organization where member nations...
Absolutely, if it behaves and actually tackles the real problems. Instead of tackling the problems of Syria and Aleppo and other human rights crises, they've been going and trying to kick Israel for years, and that's not productive. We've had a long-standing policy as the United States to not abstain from these. In fact, President Obama in 2011 said...
I would maintain part of that, though, is the makeup of the Security Council and permanent member status. But I mean, again, I guess that's a philosophical conversation for another day. It doesn't make much sense in 2016 to not, for instance, have Germany as a permanent veto member, but to have France. But anyway, let's talk about the Trump Foundation, if we can, just a moment here. The president-elect also tweeting. It would be nice, by the way, I'll just say this. It would be nice if we didn't have to always use tweets to talk about what the president-elect is saying. You would admit that. It would be great if we could get a news conference, have some questions asked,
Absolutely.
Instead of having to refer to 40 characters every time we talk about the president-elect of the United States. But here's another tweet. I gave millions of dollars to the Donald J. Trump Foundation, raised, received millions more, all of which is given to charity, and media won't report. Critics insist that this isn't the end of the story. Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics, which also has some connections to Hillary Clinton, says that there still needs to be an investigation into what it calls past instances of wrongdoing by Trump's charity. Are they right, Steve?
Well, look, there is an investigation. I'm going to actually do something I haven't done for quite a long time, and I'm going to say that Donald Trump is doing the right thing with respect to his foundation.
Shutting it down.
He's finally recognized shutting it down. He's finally recognized that it is rife with conflict, that all that he criticized Hillary Clinton for is true of his foundation as well. All the worst things, I should say. I don't think the Clinton Foundation did anything wrong. I'm not suggesting that Donald Trump did anything wrong, but the appearance of pay to play is a problem when you're president of the United States. He gets that. He's closing it down. I think it's a good thing.
I want to ask you about something else here, Steve. Hillary Clinton sending out this letter, this holiday letter to supporters. This is part of what she said in the letter. While we didn't achieve the outcome we sought, I'm proud of the vision and values we fought for and the nearly 66 million people who voted for them. I believe it is our responsibility to keep doing our part to build a better, stronger, and fairer future for our country and the world. What role would you like to see Hillary Clinton play from here on out?
Well, I mean, I think if she could help play the role of somebody who tries to take down the temperature a little bit, that would be great. She's been very, very gracious since the election. She congratulated Donald Trump. She didn't contest the election results. She didn't ask for recounts. She said that we should, as Americans, all hope that the president-elect can be successful. So I think she's doing what you would hope that a defeated opponent would do. And I wish that Donald Trump would sort of take a message from that, stop his victory rallies that are incendiary, and continue to raise these things like he's candidating for president, and begin to act more like a president and a little bit more restrained and responsible, take his security briefings and do some of the things that presidents have to do every single day.
Evan, have you been pleased with the president-elect's performance so far?
Well, there are some things I'm actually very positive about. I did not vote for the president-elect, but there are things where I've looked and said, that's pretty good. Betsy DeVos, James Mattis. I'm excited about he is actually going out and going to do infrastructure, which is something that is loathed to many Republicans. But if
there's some questions over how he's going to propose funding the infrastructure.
Yes, and we've seen Senate Democrats say they want $1 trillion infrastructure bill, whereas Trump's a little bit lower, and whether or not it's going to be funded through public or private funds. I would prefer it come through private, and that would work better and fit in more with a conservative vision and not add to the deficit.
Evan, Steve, always enjoy you. Thank you both for your conversation, your time this morning.